What is up, Wretched Nation? Today we're going to do a review on the Arlen Ness pullback risers on my 2018 Road Glide Special. Alright, so first I wanted to tell you why we bought these and where our thought process was. I wanted to do a riser setup and handlebar instead of like ape hangers or some type of bar setup that just kind of comes around to the top. I wanted to do a traditional actual riser bar, and I didn't want to use any pullback plate, any stuff like that. And I feel like this is a very, very good option, because on the Road Glide, when you want to do that, you have to do something with the gauges. So most companies will sell a separate like gauge relocation kit, their different bracket, all that kind of stuff, and it can get really expensive. So with the Arlen Ness setup, it is all in one. Your gauge bucket is bolted right into, oh look, we got a little spider, little spooter. All right, ADHD. But we got the bucket right here that holds your two gauges. These are your factory gauges. So you take them out, put them in here, and then here's your handlebar setup right here. So the riser is going to come up, mount your bars, and then you're going to mount your gauges. And I feel like it is a super clean look, and it works really well, and it puts the gauges roughly right where you're going to want them to be. So this is pretty much eye-line kind of with my face. I'm holding the camera right in front of my face, and this is pretty much the view I get. Depending on your height, I'm 6 foot, and depending on your seat and height, you're going to view it a little differently, but I have my gauges right in front of me. Now that being said, we do have the Thrash and Supply bottom plate, and the gauge setup is in the forward position. So if you put this on the stock top tree, the gauges will be a little bit far forward. But the gap you have between this and the screen, I feel like is perfect. And if we push these back, I feel like it would be even better. But I need to get a different bar. Honestly, I have the Thrash and Supply low bend bar. I want to go to the high bend bar and push this back to the standard location. It's okay the way it is now, but I do want to move it back. This was a Daytona crunch from the previous year, and getting it all together, once it fit good enough and it rode good enough that I just let it be. So like I was saying, your gauge bucket is right here. You got one bolt here and two bolts on the back side coming in here, right back here. You take that out, you have your gauges, you have your wiring, you put everything in, clamp it in. But if you take all that out, you have the 4 bolts holding your handlebar in. And that's basically how everything works. I will say, putting everything together by yourself can be a pain. I don't know if you noticed, but we definitely have a bit of a scratch in our nick because I dropped it. I was trying to do everything by myself, and we got a bit of a nick there. You know, is what it is. It can be quite cumbersome to try and do everything at once, and it's tough. But you know what? We made it work, and we got everything installed. The bottom installs like normal. It's just 2 bolts for the riser itself. Now, what I think about it, I think it is an amazing setup in comparison to other setups where your gauges are mounted like below you or on the back side of the riser. I don't think they look as good. And of course, these risers are not much more than your standard riser, unless you go with like a cheapo company. These are made really well, and they're cheaper than your standard riser and a nice gauge pod setup. All the wiring and everything you need comes with the kit. There's nothing else you have to buy, so that's great. I think it is an awesome setup. If you're interested in it and you have any questions, definitely comment down below. I totally recommend it. The only thing I would do differently if I knew what I know now, I wanted to keep my radio, wanted to keep all that stuff, so I went that route. But I kind of wish I would have just got like a cardo for my helmet, called it a day, and mounted the gauges in the radio. So there are some kits to eliminate your radio. You can even do a Bluetooth receiver back here. So you just Bluetooth your phone to a receiver and work everything off your phone. And you can put these gauges in this location right here. So for me, other than using the Arlen Ness setup, I think that's like the second best. But you have to be willing to do away with your screen. That being said, these do take up a little bit of room on your bar. So if you're wanting to mount like a phone mount and all that kind of stuff, you don't have much room. There is not a whole lot of bar here. It is pretty much straight up controls, gauges, controls. So not a lot going on, not a lot of space, but that's fine. I totally recommend them. I don't see a lot of videos about them. I didn't see a lot of videos about them when I installed them. Unfortunately, I was not able to do an install video. I wasn't quite back into the YouTube thing, and this was such a huge rush. Just a lot of last minute stuff trying to get this ready for Daytona 2 years ago. Probably should have filmed a lot of that stuff, but I just was out of that groove and it didn't work out. But I wanted to give a solid review. I've been rocking these things for a long time. I have not had any bit of like water issue. I've driven or ridden through a lot of heavy rain with these things, and they seem to be watertight, no issues at all. Nothing's come loose, no vibrations, everything's great. If you're interested in these, just pull the trigger on them. I think they're great. Another really cool thing, I had a dumb question. Again, I was up to the wire on these things getting it ready for Daytona 2 years ago. And I had a dumb question about where the bolts go on the back side because I just didn't notice it and I couldn't find the instructions. So when I was in Daytona at the JP Cycles area at Destination Daytona, if you've ever been there, they have an Arlen Ness booth. And if you don't know, every year I've gone, Arlen Ness' son, was it Corey? He was there. He was there in the booth. I walked right up to him. He was talking to one of his guys, asked them both about the process. Once they figured out what I was talking about, they told me what to do. Good to go. I was able to walk straight up to the man himself, because Arlen Ness is no longer with us, and get help. He told me exactly what to do. So that was really cool customer service. It seemed like really cool people. Love the product. If you have any questions, again, comment down below. If you have this unit, let us know anything that you've done with it. If you don't like this unit, tell us why. I would love to know what issues maybe some people have had. But if you don't mind, hit that like button if you found anything informative. I'd greatly appreciate it. Comment anything. Say hello. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. And as always, keep it wretched.